The night sky is full of stars, millions of them, but none of them have spoken. Not once, not ever. We've searched, we've listened, we've sent signals across the cosmos for decades, and all we've heard is silence. This silence isn't peaceful. It's unnatural, deafening. And that's the question that haunts astronomers and philosophers alike. If the universe is so vast, why does it feel like we're the only ones here? This question is known as the Fermi Paradox. But what if there's no paradox at all? What if the universe is quiet because someone or something has made it that way? Tonight, we explore a theory that doesn't just question our loneliness in the cosmos. It questions whether we were ever meant to be heard at all. In 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi looked up at the stars and asked, "Where is everybody?" By that time, we already knew the universe was ancient. Billions of stars, trillions of planets, many of them older than Earth, and some possibly habitable. Statistically, the cosmos should be teeming with intelligent life. Civilizations should have risen, built, explored, and maybe even colonized entire galaxies, and yet, we see nothing. No alien spacecraft, no transmissions, no ruins, just silence. This contradiction, between the high probability of life and the absence of any sign of it, is what we now call the Fermi Paradox. Scientists offer many explanations. Some say life is incredibly rare, others believe aliens are avoiding us, or that advanced species tend to destroy themselves. But what if none of those are true? What if something is out there, watching the stars, and erasing anything that dares to speak too loudly? To solve the Fermi Paradox, scientists proposed something called the Great Filter, a deadly barrier that prevents life from advancing too far. Perhaps most species destroy themselves with war, or collapse under their own technology, or fail to survive long enough to reach the stars. But what if the filter isn't an accident? What if it's placed intentionally by something ancient? Imagine a cosmic boundary, not of fire or force, but of silence. A quiet that descends whenever a voice grows too loud. Some call it evolution, others inevitability. But in the cold, dark corners of thought, there's another name for it. The cleaner. Not a god, not a monster, but a will older than galaxies. It does not hate. It does not judge. It simply maintains balance by removing those who threaten it. Civilizations that ask too much, who dig too deep, who dare to send their names into the void. The Great Filter, in this theory, is not a wall, but a whisper, a final warning wrapped in silence. And once you've heard it, you don't get to speak again. If the cleaner exists, then surely it would leave traces. But not the kind we expect, not broken ships or alien corpses. Its work is quieter. Astronomers have noted strange patterns, regions of space where radio noise just stops. No signals, no background radiation, as if someone hit a mute button on the universe. These dead zones aren't near black holes. They're not anomalies. They're just empty. In 2018, a deep space research team attempted to map a cluster 2.3 billion light-years away. The data came back corrupted. A perfect black square in the star field. No light, no spectrum, no explanation. They tried again. Same result. Then they stopped trying. Another case. A repeating signal from a distant dwarf galaxy, detected in 2016. Precise, rhythmic, almost artificial. It vanished without trace 2 months later. No explanation ever given. And then, there are the whispers. Accounts from researchers who claimed they felt watched after studying certain signals. Some left the field entirely. Others were never heard from again. Coincidence? Faulty data? Maybe. Or maybe we've already knocked on a door that was never meant to be opened. So what happens if the theory is true? If there really is something ancient, invisible, incomprehensible that monitors the cosmos? Not with eyes, but with intention. What happens if we've already been seen? For decades, we've been shouting into the dark, broadcasting signals into space, sending golden records aboard metal vessels engraved with greetings, music, coordinates, an invitation to anyone or anything listening. We did it out of wonder, out of hope, out of curiosity. But what if curiosity is dangerous? What if curiosity is punishable? Every signal we've sent was not a message of peace. It was a flare, a declaration, a ripple in the still waters of the universe. We are here. We are learning. We are ready to be known. And perhaps, in that moment, something became aware of us. Not out of interest, not out of hostility, but out of necessity. Imagine a presence so old it no longer acts with emotion, only function. It watches for noise, for signs of reaching minds, and when one appears, it moves, not to greet, but to silence. What if that's what happened to them? The others, the civilizations that should be here but aren't, the ones who spoke too soon or too loudly. Maybe their monuments now drift as dust in frozen voids. Maybe their worlds were swallowed quietly, not by fire or war, but by forgetting, not extinction, erasure. And what of us? SETI still scans, radio telescopes still listen, but maybe in doing so, we are not searching for answers. Maybe we're bait. Maybe it's already too late. And maybe the only reason we still exist is because it hasn't turned its gaze fully upon us. Yet, perhaps this video, this thought, this moment of collective wonder is one step too far. And if the silence grows deeper after this, don't be surprised. We knocked, and something may have heard. The universe doesn't owe us answers. Maybe the silence we hear is not a void, but a warning etched into the fabric of reality. Not all mysteries are meant to be solved. Not all doors should be opened. And some questions should never be asked. Perhaps it was never about finding others, but about being allowed to exist. We've spoken into the void. We've knocked on the walls of the infinite. And now, we wait. Not for a reply, but for the consequences. So if the stars remain silent, if space never answers back, maybe that's the kindest thing we could hope for. Maybe the real horror is not that we're alone, but that we're not. Some stories don't end. They echo, in silence, in shadows, in thoughts you try to forget once the screen fades to black. But if you're still here, still listening, tell me what you think. Is the Fermi Paradox just a riddle, or a warning we've ignored? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you're drawn to dark theories, ancient fears, and truths that shouldn't be spoken, you know where to find more. Until then, look up, but not for too long.